holiday season because this ended in October or as September, this quarter for Q3. So, the holiday season, October, November, December, maybe that's going to be better than Q3, but we can't attribute Q3 numbers to the holiday months. Up 7.5%. Let's go to their website, see if we can get some more coverage. I think we'll get Broadcom in about 2 minutes. Does anyone know if it's 420 or 410? I'm pretty sure it's 410. But it might be 420. So we'll have 10 minutes to see. Sam, Lulu's pumping.
Dude, I want Amazon to pump. I want Broadcom to pump. I want it all to pump, dude. I apologize for being late, by the way.
No, you're good. You're good. You're just in time for Broadcom. Lulu buybacks, 189 million in Q3. They now have 1.6 billion remaining. 2 billion of inventories. Cash is $1 billion. Q4 outlook looks better than expected. 3.58 billion and EPS of 476. Revenue for the fiscal year, 10.96 billion. I mean, it looks like the consumer has some money to spend. And that's why you're seeing some of the momentum in Lulu. Okay, we'll get more on the Lulu numbers. Oh, wow, their gross margins as well. 55.6 versus 54.4. That'll get the street excited. And then EPS, again, that's 17% be 259 versus 222 is what the street is liking. Broadcom, we should be getting very soon, 409, up 0.2%. Let me know in the chat if you own Broadcom. I know this is the big one. Bitcoin as well after hours. Look at that candle, 92,000. It was stuck at pretty much 90,000 all day. Palantir's up a little bit, Hood's up a little bit, Iren's up a little bit, Rocket Lab still moving after hours. Google, which was down because of the GPT model, that came out today. That's up 0.14%. Even NVIDIA getting a little bit of love after hours along with the S&P. S&P is now less than 40 cents away from all-time highs after hours. And it looks like Broadcom will probably make the decision on if we can break through. Yeah, the Lulu CEO is retiring as well. I mean, maybe that's why the street is happy. Maybe the street did not like the CEO, and that could be another argument as well. Sam, any expectations for Broadcom? And do you have an earnings play on this one?
I have an earnings play. I have degenerate calls on Broadcom. Well, actually more like January spreads. And I also have Google calls as well because, of course, the TPUs.
Yeah. Okay, so the degenerate calls, you have a strike on that? You have in the money, out of the money?
So, well, the Google calls are for this week. It was the 315s. They were like $1.50 each. So not really big deal. The Broadcom or AVGO spreads that I have for January 16, I got to double check. I think I have the 400, 450s. So obviously they're in the money right now. If they tank, then they're gonna get hit pretty hard. But these degenerate calls are like just very small size, like not even gonna make a difference if it goes down. But if it goes up, hey baby, let's go.
All right, we're gonna see. I think guys, it might be 415 instead of 410.
Yeah, they're gonna report late. They always do that.
Okay.
Hawk Tan is putting together the coupons for Burger King. He's doing that stuff. Hawk Tan is one cheap guy.
All right. So we are going to see what this ends up looking like, and it's going to take about 5 minutes, and we'll get some of the answers. In terms of Lulu, so CEO said, in the third quarter, our teams remain focused on driving improvements with our U.S. business and maintaining momentum in our international regions. We are beginning to make progress against our action plan and continue to expect to see the impact of this in 2026. We are encouraged by our early performance as we enter the holiday season. Revenue again, 7% up year over year, 2.6 billion. Buyback program also has 1.6 billion left, 593 million in credit facility, $1 billion in cash. I mean, you don't have that much on the press release outside of an EPS beat that's aggressive and the CEO stepping down. So it's not like you get too crazy.
I think the CEO stepping down is probably a bit of a good idea there. They have very heavy China exposure. And I don't know if you saw yesterday, but China just put a massive stimulus package in their economy. So probably a bit forward looking for their economy, especially for those top line numbers that are coming in. But I mean, my wife, she shops Aloe or used to shop Aloe because now it's a little bit ridiculous. But I think it's a more commoditized industry. Also, Gap, Athletica, and you also have Nike. I don't know. Maybe Michael Burry. I think Michael Burry is long list, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. I mean, he's also short Palantir and NVIDIA, so I don't know how well that's going to go. But, dude, Carousel Capital nailed that short, which is very annoying on BMNR. Those
Oh,
guys.
I remember when they did the spaces, the day they were so cocky about it, dude. They're like, yeah, this shit's going down. Everyone was like, you can't
I just didn't want them to win, but they won. I don't know if they covered, though.
I agree. S&P, by the way, guys, all-time highs after hours. I know it's after hours, but we are 20 cents away from seeing 690 on the S&P.
Actually, SPX or the SP 500, the actual index closed an all-time high today. So that's very bullish to see. Like when you see like those like massive drops get bought up like that, that is such a bullish setup. Because you have everyone who's positioned for it to go lower just covering all their shorts. So I don't know. I'm pretty bullish heading toward the end of the year, to be honest. I want to see Bitcoin come back though.
Bitcoin right there, 92.5. Chris will be on in about 20 minutes, and we will get into a bunch of different macro topics. We will not be listening to the Broadcom call. If anyone wants to listen to it, you can go to their website, but we will be analyzing and breaking their numbers. And I mean, Sam, you think they pump? Because I'm thinking they pump, even though I know their multiple is aggressive.
I think they pump. There was a massive sell this morning. I think it was down like 4 or 5% or something this morning, and then it got bought up. And I don't know, man. Even though I don't own Google, I do believe that Google has the best AI model that's out there right now, according to Polymarkets, according to a lot of benchmarks that I see. And then you see Sam Altman come over here with a code red, saying that he has the best model out there, posting some crazy benchmarks I've never even seen in my entire life. And then Time Magazine doesn't even have Sun Up or Shy on there? Like, come on. I don't know, man. I feel like the sentiment of Google is still pretty bad. I think Google's come back with the TPUs. I think Broadcom is the proxy for that play as well.
Yeah, Broadcom is the absolute biggest proxy. Also, I'm forgetting, and Sam is in Amcor as well. But if Broadcom pumps, Amcor could pump with it. They are one of their best suppliers.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing Rivian with a new AI chip, we don't know who's designing those chips. I was like looking back in some research there, and it looks like they were partnered with Samsung for designing some of their chips lately. So maybe it is Samsung. But I am ooh.
We're getting a move.
Let's go.
She's moving 2.9. Let's see. We need above 4% for me to be convinced this candle has some juice in it. 3.3. It touched 421 for a second. This is where it could reverse easily if it doesn't hold up. It's not holding 2. Now it's trying to get back to 3. 416 on Broadcom. I'll get the numbers in a second. 417. This one's being a little stuck, but let's see if something in their numbers can really take off. Okay, we got the numbers. EPS 195 versus 187. That's a beat. Revenue 18.02 versus 17.7. That is a beat. Double beat. Good. Not a massive beat, but at the price they are trading at and the multiple they're trading at, they definitely needed a double beat, and they got one. Now you got a 4% candle. It makes me a lot more bullish to see if this can hold.
Dude, Hawk Tan is that cheap Asian uncle that a lot of people have. He's cutting those coupons. He's cutting corners. He's the guy who's making sure that everyone eats at home, brings food to the mall, brings soda to the mall and everything. Hawk Tan is coming around the corner. Did you look at a picture of the HQ for Broadcom? It looks like just a rundown building of some sort. Yeah, but amazing company though.
Yeah, it's definitely not looking like the NVIDIA building. There you go. 4% beat. EPS is up 37% year over year. Revenue's up 28% year over year. We'll get deeper into the numbers, but I mean, this is good. You needed 2 big beats. Their AI revenue is likely going to be the one that's going to be the highlight of today's earnings, as they'll discuss it. I think it's growing at 80% year over year.
Dude, look at the Qs right now.
Dude, it kind of doesn't feel like all-time highs across the board, but it is. Look at, yeah, the Qs are up almost 0.5%. S&P definitively above 690, folks, 690.5. This is reminding me of last night when everything was dumping at 10 p.m. and no one had an explanation. And now after hours, everything's pumping. Broadcom,
yeah, I couldn't sleep.
Yeah, it was hard, especially because there was no reason for it. Lulu's up 7.5. Amcor 47.30. That's at 52-week highs. Qs are running. And Broadcom is helping everything out. Oracle is flat after hours. So unlike Oracle, Broadcom is contributing decisively to a lot. Even NVIDIA up 0.5% after hours based on this Broadcom earnings. 3.3%. Even Bitcoin. Wow. It's almost like a delayed Fed JPAL pivot reaction mixed with Broadcom, which is getting the street excited. All right, so let's go to their website. Let's see if we can get some deeper numbers on Broadcom and see the earnings. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got. Broadcom fourth quarter revenue, $18 billion for the fourth quarter, up 28% year over year. CEO says in our Q4 record revenue grew 28% year over year. We see the momentum continuing in Q1 and expect AI semiconductor revenue to double year over year to $8.2 billion. Wow. Guiding for 100% growth on AI revenue. Driven by custom AI accelerators and Ethernet AI switches, we forecast Q1 2026 total revenue of $19.1 billion with adjusted EBITDA of 67%. Cash is $16 billion. Quarterly stock dividend increased by 10%. I forgot they pay a dividend. Increase of their guidance to $19.1 billion. That's up 28% year over year. So continuing that kind of 30% growth rate. And then adjusted EBITDA of 16% of rev or 67% of revenue, which again is not too bad. GAAP diluted EPS of 174. I mean, so far you're seeing a beat on the top and the bottom and an increase in the AI portion of their guidance. 100%. Look at that right there is what they're guiding for on the AI part of the business. Costco also has earnings as well. Go ahead, Sam.
No, go ahead with Costco. Go ahead. I was going to comment on AVGO.
Okay, well, let me just give the numbers real quick for Costco. Costco right here, they beat by 5% on EPS, 450 versus 427, and 67.3 versus 67.1 for revenues. Costco after hours is down 1%. Go ahead, Sam, on Broadcom.
No, I was gonna say Broadcom. This is a very interesting play for the market because not only do they have the ASIC or the application-specific integrated circuits, TPUs, not specifically with the training processors, but they are partnering with ARM technology, I believe, or ARM. I think they also have the VMware purchase that they had back for 3-4 years ago, which is also increasing the revenue in terms of the in terms of the software industry as well. So it's kind of like you get a little bit of that hyperscaler space, maybe more on the private side, but you also get the chip fabrication space as well.
Right.
But at the end of the day, this is all just bullish for Amkor, man. Like this is bullish for Amkor. Anything to do with US-based chip packaging or anything to do with building Phototronics P-Lab. I don't know if you're in that one. That also has to do with basically being one of the only US-based photomasking companies for basically putting all of the circuits on those chips on their own. And then I'm also bullish and also long on semiconductor, which is more of the power chips for the EVs as well and the AI server. So I don't know, man. This is very bullish for U.S. stocks or for U.S.-based companies, which is the reason why you're seeing massive bids on them left and right. Broadcom is like 2% up. I wanted to come back here, man. It's got to come back.
All right, let's get some more coverage on Broadcom.
The EPS earnings per share $1.95 on revenues of $18.02 billion, higher than the street anticipated. Same thing for Q1 revenue guidance, coming in slightly higher, $19.1 billion. The company is attributing a lot of that strength specifically to AI semiconductor revenue. They're saying it's increasing 74% year over year. But one really important metric is AI revenue, specifically AI revenue. They guided for $6.2 billion for the quarter. They actually hit 8.2, so much higher than what they promised they would hit last quarter. And this is important too because it is tied to Hawk 10, the CEO. His expensive pay package is tied to various tiers of selling AI revenue. So I think that's adding to the stock increase of about 3%. Semiconductor revenue higher, $11 billion. Infrastructure revenue higher, $6.9 billion. So across the board, so far, it's a beat versus estimates, and it seems to be a beat off of some buy-side expectations, too. So that's probably driving a little bit of that uptick in the stock right now, guys.
Christina, thank you. Great fodder for the conversation. Okay, now, so Stephanie, now that we know this, is the good news here from Broadcom mainly good for Broadcom, or how much is it good for the overall AI trade, counterbalancing some of the questions out of Oracle?
Yeah, I think when you think about Broadcom, like where their focus has been, in my mind, like that actually pushes the positive part of the narrative, which has been that there is a diversification of leaders. It's no longer just an NVIDIA play. And I think, Google has been a place that we have played that, and you've seen that do really well. And I think that's going to start to broaden. So our view is that AI starts to creep into the broader economy. People start to use it more. And it's no longer about like the hardware or the models. It's more about like the actual improvement in efficiency. And that's why I think like Broadcom can be a good player because it creates some competition in the chip space. But also I think it shows that I just think it's turning to a new phase. And that's why, for example, we added to Microsoft recently, because we think that's actually going to benefit a little bit more now.
Interesting. All right, Stephanie Guild, thank you. So rotation across the market and rotation within the
All right, so the street likes it. I mean, it's not a massive explosive quarter. Stock's up 2%, which is nothing crazy. It was up almost 5%.
I think they're a $2 trillion company now, right?
Basically, yeah. They were at 1.92, so if they're not at 2 trillion, they're very close.
I know that's crazy. Dove Bear said Broadcom or AVGO was 169 in April. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, just a massive move. Obviously, massive move from the bottom. And the expectations going into this earnings, I think, were high, but they couldn't be that high because the stock was up 75%. So maybe the stock price expectations irrationally were high, but in terms of the actual doubling of AI revenue, which the street thought I think would only go up by 80%, so you had a 20% beat right there. That's a big deal. And that's what's at least going to keep this thing holding its multiple. I think it's trading at, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, 100 times forward earnings on their PE, 100 times forward gap. I mean, like,
well, 28% growth for a $2 trillion company. You have to kind of command that valuation, especially when earnings growth is just catapulting. So,
but 100 times. I mean, we got $3 trillion companies that are barely trading at 30 times.
Yeah, but hold on. Let me take a look here. What's the earnings growth?
Also, their margins can't be better than Meta. I don't think they would. I mean, at the end of the day, it's chips, right? Like, I'm not saying that it's overvalued or something. I'm just saying, like, for this to get even higher than a 70% move this year, I mean, it's just asking for a lot at these levels. Which is why I think we're not seeing a massive move after hours, even though it's a good earnings, up 2.5%.
2.5%, $2 trillion company is still a big move. Would like to see it higher. Google is almost at 314 after hours, which is good to see. Yesterday, they were just trading at 321 today. That's insane. Wow.
Yeah, Google, so Amcor, all these guys getting a bid.
Man.
Look at Amcor, bro. It's about to hit 48 after hours. Good.
Dude, this was 12% of my portfolio when it was like $32 with calls.
I mean, the calls were the right. I only bought stock, but calls obviously worked out much better.
It's been crazy. It's been crazy.
So are you trimming Amcor here or no?
No. I actually added the Amcor the other day.
Oh, you added more yesterday. Okay.
Yeah, I added more to Amcor because I took off a position from my portfolio. It was not performing.
And do you think the custom chip narrative is something that can get this stock closer to like the 430s, 440s?
So if you look at the estimates from Wall Street analysts, they do expect NVIDIA to lose share. I think NVIDIA is expected to have like about 73% of the market share of GPUs by 2030. And then you have Broadcom, AMD, and all these other companies coming to the industry. Well, not coming to the industry, but getting more market share in the industry, which, think of a multi-trillion-dollar TAM, you don't need a lot in order to get a lot of the cake. I mean, look at that, right? If they're at $6.9 billion, sorry, if they're at $11.1 billion, just billion dollars for the quarter, for a multi-trillion-dollar TAM industry, you don't need a lot to grow your revenue massively, right? So I think NVIDIA is actually probably going to go up from here because they're like the center of AI when you really think about it. But it doesn't take a lot of market share for these other companies to lose. So maybe NVIDIA lose like 5% market share, which I've read some analyst reports. It's included in the modeling for them. Like they expect NVIDIA to lose market share. But the thing is, NVIDIA isn't just data center GPUs. They're also expanding margins as well. They also have the gaming unit, which is supposed to be coming back if the consumer comes back. They also have the automotive unit. And then on top of that, they also have, what is that called? The NVLink as well. So
Yep.
you can have your entire ecosystem, but all these different type of ASIC chips all connected in the NVIDIA ecosystem. Like, I don't see this market continuing to go higher without NVIDIA. It's very hard to see that happening.
Do you think Broadcom is bearish for NVIDIA or no?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's actually, well, clearly it's bullish for NVIDIA. NVIDIA is up 25 basis points after hours, and Broadcom is up 3.5%. The market obviously likes it. It's bullish.
Okay, so you think the
Indeed.
custom ASICs is only expanding the pie, but you don't think it's necessarily taking away market share.
So
enough.
Broadcom isn't a hyperscaler, right? I mean, they have their own private data center unit that they purchased from VMware, but they're not a hyperscaler, right? They design chips for other companies, and specifically the TPUs. And I think it's ARM. And don't quote me on that. I think it's ARM. And really, like, the expansion of data centers in that case is just going to be wholly beneficial for Broadcom. Like, it doesn't matter if NVIDIA is up or down. Like, what matters is that the demand is still there, and the demand is clearly there. You've heard from every single hyperscaler in the entire world, including Alibaba, right? I'm not saying that Alibaba is going to start buying TPUs, but, like, this is just bullish for the whole sector.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a fair point. And I think that's also why, look at Meta making a move after hours, Google making a move, Broadcom now actually kind of holding on to that 3% move. If that can get closer to 5%, if Hock Tan says some good stuff on the call, then this is going to be a really exciting market open tomorrow if this can hold on to momentum. S&P still moving after hours, DraftKings moving up, Bitcoin just below 93. It's almost like a pretty strong reversal from yesterday's 10 p.m., 11 p.m. dump. Even Hoodie up a little bit after hours, Palantir up as well, Silver continuing to move. We've seen the entire market say Broadcom is giving us enough juice. Nebius moving, Iren moving, all the data center plays moving.
Oh, the move on Nebius is just beautiful. Just beautiful. Nebius went green on the day. They closed green today. They're up 32 basis points after hours. It's just a beautiful move for Nebius to be green today after this crazy sell-off in the morning.
I agree. Let's get some updates on Costco, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Nebius.
$4.50. That is better than expectations for $4.27. Revenues also stronger than expected. This is total revenues, so inclusive of membership fees, $67.307 billion. The street was looking for $67.137 billion. Comp sales, we know we still get these from Costco regularly, but total for the quarter up 6.4%. Digitally enabled sales up 20.5%. The company did recently change how they're reporting that number, so it's going to be a little different comparison if you want to look back to previous quarters, but just know now it is digitally enabled sales increased by 20.5%. And the membership fees that were inclusive in that total number did grow 14% year over year. Right now, shares down just a little bit for Costco. Back over to you.
All right, Courtney Reagan, thank you. Meantime, the S&P 500 financials sector.
I mean, we're getting a move after hours, folks, including Bitcoin. Look at that candle. This was at 91.7 10 minutes ago. 93.4. Okay, Nebius, Sam, are you still buying here, or how are you thinking of Nebius in the data center plays?
I'm still long as hell Nebius. It used to be 13% of my portfolio when it was like $140. Now it's down to like 8 or 9%. I'm still holding. I had it a little bit recently, but like I didn't. It really wasn't a lot. But I'm still bullish. I mean, I still think that of all the data center plays, this is the best one. I still have that position Iren, which is clearly not doing well at all. But I mean, the rest of the port is going up, so it's like, all right, well, you got this small position that's going down. It's all good.
Do you think the data center sell-off via whatever narrative is going on, whether it's Oracle, increased debt financing, do you think that's actually a real narrative to care about, or is that just part of holding these data center plays?
No, it's nothing to care about. I mean, Oracle still producing. Steve, okay, I don't want to take the words from Steve's mouth because I didn't really dig too much into Oracle, and Jose probably did as well. But I mean, Oracle is almost, I think, not tripling, but like they're adding $2 billion of cash flow to its operations in the last year. They're not just a private data center business. Like they also have PeopleSoft. They also have a lot of software including in their horizontal list of products. Like this company's not going anywhere, and the company's basically 40% down from its all-time highs. By the way, guys, My grandpa actually is not alive anymore. It was kind of a joke. I didn't really tell my grandpa because I mean, he's passed away, but like I didn't tell anyone to buy Oracle at 330. But the thing is that this company has gotten so ridiculously sold to a certain point that people actually forget what brought Oracle to its point where it is today, besides just this private data center mode. Okay, is the $500+ billion backlog actually going to come to fruition? I don't know. We'll see. They just released ChatGPT, or they just released GPT 5.2, which they need to compute, right? So does Oracle care if maybe there's not that much demand for it? I think it's still going to be a great company, and I think that today it's still a good value, but it's just not where I want to put my money personally.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, and I think there's a lot of other exciting opportunities in the AI space, but that also doesn't mean that Oracle has to collapse. So I agree with the sell-off today on that.
It's a little ridiculous. The collapse has gotten pretty insane. Obviously, it's above $200 per share right now after hours, and probably close the day above $200. I think getting back down, closing that gap that everyone was looking at was a technical bounce from there. I think the sell-off this morning was just a little bit overdone, in my opinion. I mean, we needed it because if we were propelling to all-time highs yesterday, I don't know how much momentum would continue if everyone was so bullish at the end of the day. But the fact that you scared the pants out of everyone last night and this morning, including myself, people definitely shorted the market at the bottom. And what has happened? People just rush back in. The same thing we see all the time. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, like, valuations matter, but not so much in the short and medium term. In the short and medium term, it just matters the positioning and the sentiment of the market. And I personally don't think the sentiment's that great. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had a massive rally toward green from like 1.2% down in the S&P 500, making new all-time highs today. Like, that wouldn't have happened if sentiment was so bullish at the beginning of the day.
No, I agree. It's a very, very fair point. And obviously, we're seeing a lot of that sentiment rotation happening throughout the entirety of the day and throughout the entirety of the market. All right, folks. So that is Broadcom, Lulu, and Costco. We are not going to be listening to the Broadcom call. If you want to, you can go on their website. We're going to get into Macro Thursday and discuss a variety of other macro topics. Myself, Sam, and our friend Christopher Patel. We haven't been able to do Macro Thursday for the past 2 weeks because of a lot of earnings. But Chris, who is a mutual friend of both of us, has initiated a new position in his portfolio. I didn't think I would see the day, but it is official. Ladies and gentlemen, the man himself to explain why he is now bullish NVIDIA.
It's probably the top. That's for exactly what it is.
That's what I said. That's what I said yesterday. It's like Chris is bullish NVIDIA. This is the top now. This is the top.
This is like Bonnie Blue converting to like, what is it called? Like becoming like Orthodox religious person, you know, and just like, what happened, Bonnie? Like, what happened? You're not doing the 1000% gangbangs anymore? I was trying to mess with Amit this morning so bad, and he was like trying to keep his composure. It was fun watching him squirm, and then the entire chat was like coming along with it. So,
dude, I'm trying to talk about Oracle's remaining performance obligation, and I see Chris like, "Hey, Amit, what do you think about Bonnie Blue?" I'm like,
I was trying to talk about Bonnie Blue's remaining performance obligation. What are you talking about?
All right, NVIDIA. What the hell is going on? How did you make this pivot for NVIDIA?
Okay, so there's a couple of things that I think really changed my mind on NVIDIA. Number one, I'll go with technicals and then I'll go with fundamentals. So the first thing is just from a technical side. You can see that there's been a giant wave of consolidation at this like 170 to like 185 level, right? Where it's kind of like bounced up a little bit to like 200s and then it's kind of come down. But you can see that it's starting to like develop a nice little support line around that 185. And so if you guys know with options, what happens is when a stock tends to kind of just like start flatlining, the IV drops off. I mean, there were momentary periods where the IV kind of spiked up like you saw during earnings and it was just like boom and IV went up, but then you kind of saw it come down again. So just from an option standpoint, you're getting a really good deal. And a lot of these options, especially the ones for 2028, they came out in September, right? So if you had bought those options in September, you know, because of theta decay, they would have come down. And so right now, from an option standpoint, it was attractive. Like for me, especially because, you know me, I do leaps, right? So whenever you see this period of nice consolidation, that's one thing. The other thing now is what are some of the catalysts that are up and coming for NVIDIA? I think this whole thing that happened to Google, where Google came out and released Gemini and everything else, it sort of put this fire under Jensen, under OpenAI, and all of these guys to really invest harder, right? So same thing with Oracle and all these other guys. They have to put more money into this in order to stay relevant. Now, at the end of the day, if you think about it, who is the biggest arms dealer in this AI war? It's NVIDIA, right? So right now you're seeing Google starting to spend more. So a lot of people are going to say, well, I need to improve mine. So Anthropic's going to spend their money. OpenAI is going to spend their money. You're going to see a lot more people gravitating towards that. And so the spending is just going to go right into NVIDIA's back pocket. So if you guys, if anyone here in the chat watches F1, you guys know that there's about 10 teams that compete every single year. But there's only usually 2 engine manufacturers that really that basically win. It's like 1 out of 2 win, right? So if you think about it, NVIDIA's 1, Apple, like AMD and all of these guys, they're in the fringes, but TPUs with Google is another big driver of AI capex. But NVIDIA specifically right now is in a prime position to take huge amount of gains in this next cycle with Blackwell. Like, I really had to do a lot more fundamental analysis on Blackwell. So right now, everyone is transitioning from training to inference. And if you look at the levels of, like, what's the word? The exponential difference between H100s and Blackwells, it's insane, right? So on one hand, you have the total cost of ownership. It's all these old H100s that are still being fully utilized. And right now, these LLMs are hitting capacity walls. That's why, like, right now, I have Gemini Ultra. And once in a while, like right now, every time I search for something or run something, it's like, hey, sorry, I'm out of juice right now. You're gonna have to wait. Clearly shows that there's just an insane amount of demand right now. All of that is going to flow to the hyper. I mean, so basically now from an economy standpoint, if you see this entire planet right now is all going into AI at the same exact time. Now, if you think about a couple of constraints that people are also going to run into, like electricity, right? Everyone here knows the cost of electricity is just starting to go higher and higher. Data centers are just developing themselves into another level. And then you have like the grid can only take so much before new capacity is added.
In fact, Jensen's going to host a talk about data centers and power shortages. It was announced today.
Now, here's the thing. What is that going to do? That's going to make people, that's going to force a lot of these data center people to do what? To actually do their upgrade cycle faster than what they were originally hoping for. So right now, if you're running an H100, you have to run quite a few H100s to get the same amount of output as one Blackwell. So like from an equation standpoint, it's like, do I keep running, even though I've already fully paid off this H100, do I let it keep running, pay all this additional money for electricity, or do I work on expediting my upgrade cycle to Blackwell, where I can generate way more tokens at a much lower cost? Because that's the key, right? Total cost of ownership is going to be a really big selling point for Blackwell. And so that's why if you look at Jensen, he's even given you like really good guidance saying, look, we actually know how much we're going to do next year in contracts. They're going to do $300 billion in revenue next year. Insane, right?
So what about the cyclicality argument? Because that I think was your biggest bear case.
That was another thing that I had to kind of like flip around on, because as I did more research, I was like, okay, how is NVIDIA going to get past the cyclicality? Number one, you can see that they're investing in the smaller companies. So you can see like, hey, $1 billion in share buybacks at a PE of 60 isn't exactly value accretive to shareholders to the same degree as investing in a company for $1 billion. And then this company turns into a $500 billion company. Look at all the deals with Anthropic and all of these other guys out there. So number one, they're saying, well, we're not only going to supply the arms to a lot of these AI companies, but we're also going to take equity investments that could give exponential returns in the future. It's very similar to what Google does with Google. What is it called?
Google Ventures.
Google Ventures, where they do these equity investments, and most of them are going to go out of bed. They're going to go to zero. But the ones that are going to make it are going to be exceptionally profitable. Look at the example of Google Ventures investing in SpaceX. They did not spend a lot of money to be in SpaceX, but when SpaceX goes IPO, do you know what the total return on that money is going to be?
I think it's like
insane.
56x. Yeah.
Crazy, right? So NVIDIA is in that same position right now where they're generating so much cash flow that they can throw money around everywhere. And they literally can hope for 1 or 2 or 3 things going 50x like SpaceX right now. And they actually have a lot more insight into what's working and what's not from an investor standpoint, because they're essentially providing all basically the arms, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is, if you see like some of the deals that they actually have it so that per GPU, they have like licensing fees that eventually will translate into long-term durable revenue that's just going to be coming in. So it's no longer just, hey, I'm going to provide you the GPUs. Hey, I'm going to license you, what do you call it? Like the CUDA software and everything else for like $5,000 per GPU per year. So that's a pretty good return, and it's all high margin stuff. So I would say those two are the main factors that I would go there. And then, of course, it's the massive upgrade cycles that are coming. These guys have 5 years worth of upgrade cycles that are already planned out, with every upgrade cycle being more and more and more value accretive. So this is kind of a dynamic where, at least for the foreseeable future, at least for the next 5 years, the cycle is not going to end. Could NVIDIA, the top line, slow down? Absolutely. But the cash flows are going to be so strong that it's actually going to support a decent return even from where we are today. So I think if you're expecting NVIDIA to go from I think $200 to, let's say, $1,000, like that 5x, I don't know how long it's going to take to get there. It's going to that's not even in my brain. But if you're looking at a nice 50% return from here to get to 300, I don't think that's out of the table within a year or two.
So let's give you a little pushback right here. Someone says, nothing Chris said is new. The main problem is that the valuation makes no sense if revenue growth slows. Do you disagree with the revenue growth slowing?
Revenue growth is not slowing down. It's accelerating, re-accelerating. So that bear case is put to bed. And we haven't even included China revenue. So they can now sell the H200 chip to China. And to add on to whatever Chris was saying, he's talking about the new lines of chips coming out. We have Rubin coming out next year, okay, because we already have the second upgraded model, Blackwell, already being released soon. And then why would they give China the H200 chips before it was the H20 chips if they weren't already planning to have a much powerful model coming out later on? Like, they're not going to do that, right? I don't know if I really believe in Luckdick when he says, like, oh, we didn't want the 25% sales, whatever, all that crap. But at the same time, they're not going to let China catch up. They're going to release way better models coming up soon. And the hyperscalers are going to want those chips. They're not going to want the second tier chips. They're not going to want the model that's 2 years ago. They're going to want the best model that's out there, which really puts that cyclicality to bed at a certain point.
So one thing, by the way, what do you think your return would be if you bought Apple in the year 2000? A lot. But would you not have bought it in 2010? Were you too late in 2010? No, because you still had a really good return. What about if you bought it in 2020? Do you think that person who bought in 2020 is too late? No, they still did a really good job. So this whole thing about, oh, you're too late. Maybe I'm too late to get that 100x return. But dude, if I'm looking from a portfolio standpoint, there's still a lot of opportunity here. So this whole thing with someone being late, dude, I think that they still have a huge ramp up to go. Now, I will say one thing for me. I have been burned in the past by investing a little bit too early into things. And so sometimes I'm like, you know what? I take a much more bearish tone to my thesis. But I think right now you can actually see that everything is working, So it's almost like saying same thing with Google. Like, oh my God, Google, you didn't invest in 2005. That means that you're dumb for not investing in, that you can't invest in 2010. Bro, just at this point, that they're successful. That they're a proven provider of ARMs for AI. There's still a lot of value going forward. So
real quick, was your experience with using Gemini also instrumental and just realizing that if the models get better and better, inevitably NVIDIA continues to win.
Yeah. I mean, the rapid improvement in how thinking and reasoning is, I think, is the leapfrog that I was looking for. Like right now, when you do your research using some of these AI agents, they're no longer just regurgitating information that they've been trained on. They actually go out there, they look, they reason like a human being to figure out like, okay, there's actually something here. And then you work on that. And then, there are still areas where you have to double check, triple check, and quadruple check to make sure that the thing is not hallucinating on you. But I think AI is here to stay. The other thing is at work, every day I'm going to work and there's just new products coming online and it's like AI this and AI that and AI this. So from an economic standpoint, you can already see that all of these other like they're not eating the applications, but every application now has an AI component to it that feeds right back into the hyperscalers. And what are the hyperscalers doing? They're buying NVIDIA chips. So the unit economics make a lot more sense. Like right now, I work in radiology. I work in radiology IT. I have a ton of applications right now that we're going and we're upgrading and doing stuff. And all of them have AI features. Not all of them, they have connections to AWS. They have connections to GCP, to Microsoft. So all of the cost savings that we're getting from utilizing this AI feature for all these radiology services that we typically had to spend money on, all those efficiency gains are kind of getting filtered to the cloud providers, and then from the cloud providers now it's going to,
and that's why you don't see revenue growth slowing down.
Oh, I'll give you an example of something that I right now, if you look at how radiology works, the bottleneck in radiology in the past tended to be the machines themselves. We actually had to take film and do the films and then process the film, take it, and then we give it to the radiologist. The radiologist reads it, and it was like a nightmare scenario. Then, of course, we went to a PACS system where basically everything was electronic. You sent the images to PACS. Now, a lot of times people think, well, those efficiency gains, who did that really benefit? Well, number one, it benefited all the manufacturers of the equipment that provided all this additional stuff, but then it also was all these software providers that provided the software. Now we're headed into this place where my radiologists are working and they need AI in order to function. Like there are so many applications that are basically helping them become more efficient that it's saving the hospital a ton of time, and actually we don't have to hire nearly as many people. I mean, I'm sure the radiologists don't want to hear that, but the productivity levels have increased significantly. Accuracy is increasing significantly. So from a cost perspective, the cost of healthcare is actually coming down because of AI. And that's one of the thesis that I was going to talk to you about with regards to AI and deflation. One of the things, and I'm sure that this has been spoken about in great lengths, but every time there's been a sea change in technology, that's heavily deflationary. Right? So you have this wave of disinflation that's going to be coming our way thanks to AI. If you look at how the hospitals work back in the day, the cost of serving one patient was like the effort that you had to put in was enormous. But then came in computers and everything else and kind of revolutionized everything, and our throughput went up, and the amount of care that we were able to deliver went up. Sure, costs went up because we had to kind of like help and support everything. But overall, the improvements in healthcare are like 100 times more than they were in the 1980s before all this electronic stuff came. So AI is still in its infancy. So I say 5 years, 6 years, even 10 years from now, people are going to be freaked out about how many things that are going to have AI in it. And so if you don't want to be in the sector, you're missing a giant sea change. And that's the way that I'm looking at it from here. Do I think that there could be a correction, 20, 30%? Sure. But at the end of the day, if you look at how many areas of opportunity that companies like NVIDIA have, where they're literally integrated into an industry and they're helping supercharge an industry, it's insane. And then at the same time, they do have a significant moat. There's only one or two major players here that are able to do what NVIDIA does. That gives them a significant lead. And as far as I can tell, the hunger levels on Jensen have not gone down even the slightest. It'd be one thing if he was just chilling on the beach saying, yeah, I'm going to chill. This guy seems like he's still a hungry dog. Be like, I'm going to crush Google. I don't give a shit. I'm going to do what I need to do. You don't want to bet on a guy like that? I don't know about y'all, but
I agree. And we'll get more into this deflation thesis as well in terms of what the Fed did. Sam, do you disagree with anything that Chris said? And you're not long NVIDIA, so how are you thinking about NVIDIA as well?
No, I mean, Chris getting long NVIDIA is the top, and he's been bearish until now, which means that this is it. I'm just kidding around. I mean, I've known Chris for a while. I think you've known him longer than I have. And Chris is more about the timing, not so much like getting it at the bottom, the absolute bottom. Like, I'm going to buy Hood at like $8, going to buy Palantir at $15, whatever. He's about the timing. So Chris is like basically Stanley Druckenmiller, where he finds his conviction in a company and he levers the hell up when he finds that opportunity. And there's a reason why he names his profile inside of a trader opportunity something, whatever. But like Chris is more like opportunity when they risk reward is asymmetric upside, which namely with UNH, where I don't want to see, he didn't nail the bottom. I mean, Chris, like you didn't nail the bottom, but you kept adding because conviction was high. And then it bottomed eventually, and then it went up to $380, and then like you kind of covered your position, right? Like you don't need like these, you don't need to be like 20% Palantir from the bottom and then still holding sort of thing to make money in the market. I'm not discounting that at all, because you guys made a crap load of money being 10 times in your stock. I don't know, 20, 25 times, whatever it is. Like, yeah, you can make money like, but you can also make money this way too, right? Like, did he catch the bottom of NVIDIA? No. Did he catch NVIDIA when it was $15 pre-split, or when it's $15 post-split? No, he didn't. But look, if NVIDIA goes to $220, $230, $250, well, I mean, let's just say he's going to buy Carnival Cruise Line's yacht, and we're all going to have the next meetup over there.
Sam, do you think 250 next year? And then Chris, after Sam, what is your price target, I guess, for NVIDIA next year for both of you, if you have one?
Well, it's contingent on the market staying bullish. Right? Like it's so difficult to give a price target on certain things. Like I think that NVIDIA is going to go to $300. All right. I think it's going to go to $300 by 2028, because I think the AI theme is going to continue. But I don't know, like if the market decides like one day, hey, I want to sell off everything because Trump decided to start tweeting a bunch of stuff and it's get down, like limit down like 7% overnight. It's down. Like you can't prevent that, right? Like NVIDIA is a it's a $4 trillion market cap. If the market's down 23%, it's gonna fall. There will be risk coming off the table. Like this isn't a freaking Procter and Gamble, or this isn't a Kellanova, or whatever it is. Like this is a growth stock. High beta tech. If the market goes down, this is going to come down. So in order for this thesis to come through, the market has to stay bullish. But amid a black swan, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I think the market is balls to the wall bullish. You saw the commentary yesterday from Jerome Powell, which I was wholly surprised. I did not think it was going to be a dovish cut. I thought it was going to be a hawkish cut. It was the most dovish cut we could have possibly gotten. They basically started QE, or quote unquote, they're going to start QE next quarter. Rates are coming down. Inflation's tame. Unemployment is tame. GDP is going to be 23%, which I don't believe. But we have the most. Yeah, I know. But like, this is the perfect setup for NVIDIA. This is the perfect setup for the market. Like, how could you be bearish at this point? Like, yeah, we break the 50-day moving average, we break the 200-day moving average. Okay, it's time to get bearish, guys. But until then, man, the market is just built to go up. Like, I got bearish when we broke below the 50-day moving average, right? I got bearish when we broke below the 20-day moving average temporarily. 50-day moving average, I got bearish. I didn't add to anything. I bought puts, whatever, and like it worked out, right? But like when we're trading above the moving average, we're trading above all the EMAs, when everyone's balls to the wall bullish, and then you have Wall Street basically like raising price targets. It's like, that's not the time when you get bearish. That's the time when you stay bullish. When things fall apart, that's when you get bearish. Right? And it's about the timing in this case, right? And if he's landing himself in leaps and spreads for 2027, right now, NVIDIA's trading $230, get ready, because the next meetup's going to be on Chris's yacht.
Chris, your target for NVIDIA?
In the short to medium term, the 200, they'll recapture 200, I think, within the next like 20 to, I would say maybe 30 to 60 days. I think once we see some catalysts start to come up, I mean, and Jensen goes on his PR tour, and I think Q1, especially when they start to give out guidance for next year, I think that's going to really cement the deal, right? You already see the Trump administration sort of kind of like saying, we're going to support this industry and we're going to boost it up. I mean, dude, that's a really good sign. One of the things about Trump is that he's a good salesman, for companies and for industries. So one of the things that you can see is that we, as the United States, are heavily leaning towards supporting this entire AI ecosystem that we have going. So that is a nice put that you have on the market when it comes to AI. So I think that's one thing. And then, of course, like I said, this release of Blackwell is going to be a game changer in terms of where we're headed with regards to the expectations for NVIDIA, at least for next year. And then I think it can capture 250 to 275 by the end of 2026, and then possibly get to that 300 by 2028. So, you know, like I said, NVIDIA is in this show me stage right now, and I think that they're delivering. You know, they're doing what they need to. So,
well, let's bring on someone else to the show who's been a little bullish on NVIDIA over the past couple of years.
Milkman. Yes. He's here.
Steve, I think you got to witness the Chris pivot a day before it happened. So what is your perspective on all of this?
I got to witness it in real time. I mean, he convinced himself on Monday night that he was going to do this.
Chris, you're muted.
And Chris still doesn't know how to use a microphone.
That's still pretty accurate. No, I do, you know, but sometimes silence is golden. So,
yeah, I mean, listen, I'm glad that he's on Team NVIDIA at the moment, and the numbers support it. So I was listening before. I was finishing something up. That's why I didn't hop on immediately. And look, Chris is right. It doesn't matter when you get in, as long as you make money on something. And none of us can time anything perfectly. I sure as hell can't. But nobody should be ragging on anybody for when you get into something if you have the balls and the conviction to actually get in on it. And I really do think that Chris hit the number on the head. I said it earlier today that I would not be surprised if NVIDIA hits 250 to 275 next year. And that's without any assumptions that the forward estimates increase as they have been after every quarterly report. At this point, NVIDIA is the cheapest in the Mag 7, and it could continue to look cheaper. The reality is Jensen's going to hit $65 billion in revenue in Q4. There really is not a scenario where he doesn't, especially now that the China trade is on the table. Now, maybe that doesn't materialize in Q4. That sure as hell is going to materialize in either Q1 or Q2. So in 2026, we could see an additional 10 to 20 billion of revenue come in on top of everything else. The Oracle numbers last night confirmed, and the AI bears are incorrect, and I'm going to slaughter them either tonight or tomorrow with a 2,000 or 3,000 word post on X. But the numbers from Oracle confirmed that this build out is as real as it's ever been. The RPO number from Oracle confirmed what all the rest of the hyperscalers said a couple of weeks ago. The demand for NVIDIA chips is off the charts. And I don't see a scenario where their revenue gets impacted next year. And I'm starting to think that my initial projections of when this turns more into maintenance mode than growth mode is going to get extended out to 2028 probably at this point.
Yep, I would agree. And I also agree that although the market is not trusting Oracle's debt financing, that RPO growth, if you think it's real, even if half of it's real, there's a lot of money that's going to be coming into these.
Oracle's going to be dead money for a couple of years, and then it'll explode. It's in a horrible situation right now.
Agreed. Chris, before we move on to the Fed, because this is Macro Thursday, any thoughts on Broadcom? I mean, it seems like a relatively strong quarter.
I mean, we sort of knew that Broadcom was going to do well, you know, just based on the level of CapEx guide that we saw from Google. You know, when Google does well, you're going to see Broadcom do well. Why? Because the TPUs are partially developed by Broadcom, right? Broadcom, I think Marvell and MediaTek. So there's like that Google ecosystem is there. So a lot of these custom ASICs businesses really going to boost up Broadcom. So Broadcom's doing what Broadcom does. Now, here's the thing. Broadcom's valuation is actually higher. It's overvalued relative to NVIDIA. So you're actually
a little
getting
aggressive. 100 times forward earnings, a little bit. It's growing fast, but NVIDIA at 25, what are we talking about?
Yeah. I mean, personally, I like looking at EV to EBITDA as a better metric because it gives you a little bit more of an accurate reflection on how a company is doing. So if we just compare, let's say, AVGO, Broadcom, and let me just share.
Which, by the way, guys, Broadcom still holding that 3.5% move. The call, I think, is just starting. So any bullish questions or answers from Hakan maybe takes this a bit higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 trillion market cap basically right now.
So if we look the forward EV to EBITDA, we can see. Give it a second to load. And by a second, there we go. Let's bring this down. Okay, so right now you can see Broadcom's EV to EBITDA is 77. Okay, NVIDIA is 21. Okay, NVIDIA with its growth rate should not be trading this low. It should be at a much higher rate right now. Let me just actually hide the EV to EBITDA number. So on a forward basis, you can see that at one point Broadcom was the undervalued company, but now you can see that NVIDIA, because it's been growing its EBITDA so significantly, but the stock price hasn't caught up to it, is actually undervalued relative to its peer. So you can see this thing capture about at least going back to the 28 to 30 again, especially if optimism comes back to NVIDIA, in which case now that 250 target is going to be very achievable.
I got breaking news and a question.
Yeah.
Costco is down after hours individually. I'm excited because this company should not be where it is. Now, where does everybody think when you're talking about NVIDIA? Should it get a bigger valuation than Costco?
I love how Costco's down $5 and Steve's like, it's down, guys.
It's down. Is it not down? Is it not down?
No, Costco does. I mean, those hot dogs are $1.50. They haven't changed. But also, I think that you're seeing a little bit of rotation in the markets. But to push back a little bit on Chris's point, as far as the valuation of Broadcom versus NVIDIA, I think one thing we need to keep in mind here is that the market really follows, in terms of stock price, EPS growth, right? So we have an estimate of EPS growth actually undershooting next year for 2026, which is the reason why we're seeing the market continue to go up. So like your trailing P, forward P, whatever it is, I think it really matters on the second derivative basis, which is the rate of change, right? So the rate of change for Broadcom actually is accelerating from current quarter. It was 34.4%, which is the estimate. I don't know what it actually came at. Next quarter is 30.8%, but it's actually reaccelerating in July of 2026 on a quarterly basis to 53.6%, and then 53.3% the quarter after that. So 1 year from now, it's going to reaccelerate to 53%. NVIDIA, on the other hand, and I'm not trying to discount NVIDIA. Like, I think NVIDIA is going to go up if the market goes up. The most recent quarter that NVIDIA reported on the mean or the average was 66.2%. And then it's going to decelerate to 54.9% a year from now. I think that these actual EPS estimates in terms of growth percentages do matter when you think of valuation or what the premium the market's going to give them. Because decelerating EPS growth isn't necessarily bearish for NVIDIA being like the quote-unquote godfather of AI, the center of the storm, whatever it is. But I think that this is the reason why Broadcom is commanding a much higher valuation, because analysts are very bullish on its EPS growth.
I think that's fair. And realistically, the story is that both should do well if the AI thematic continues to be what we think it is. And that's what we're going to have to see going into next year. All right, the Fed, let's talk about it. We had Jay Powell yesterday. He said a variety of things that have been interpreted potentially as more dovish than not. Chris, we'll get to you and I guess how you're thinking about the labor market, inflation, quantitative tightening ending. And do you think this was the most dovish Powell that we could possibly get?
Yeah. I mean, I think the one line that I really took to heart was him saying, I want to leave my successor with a good economy, right? So I think to some degree he realizes the economy is kind of stagnating a little bit for at the peripheries. And so one of the things he doesn't want is the next guy to say, oh my God, Jerome Powell broke everything and basically I'm here to fix it, So I think right now everything is getting to that zone. So Jerome Powell wants his legacy to be, I crushed inflation and I gave the next guy a good economies to work with, you know? And so I think that's where we're going to go with this. So
Do you think they're setting up for a significant, do you believe them that there was only one cut next year that they're guiding for, or no way?
I think there's going to be more than one cut, but it's going to depend like on inflation, right? I mean, as far as I can tell, there's no way in hell, even if you're a Trump loyalist, Fed chair, and if inflation starts to go beyond the, let's say the 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, dude, it's gonna be really, really hard for you to maintain credibility. In which case, the bond market will more than likely respond in a really, really negative way. So if you become too bullish all of a sudden on the cuts, the market is going to say, well, this is pretty much a signal that inflation is going to come back because the Fed, like, what is that thing called? Ease too quickly, basically. And right now we're at neutral. I think right now, if the Fed didn't do anything for the next 6 months, I think naturally inflation is going to come down, especially if you look at housing, which makes up about 36% of the CPI number. That's decelerating, and the decelerating in housing is not stopping, right? So that's the one thing that I would watch out for. Now, here's the thing. There's core goods and everything else where some of these companies are going to definitely raise their prices to make up for the tariffs now that their inventories have to be restocked, and they're going to pass some of those costs along to the consumer. But at the same time, the consumer is also getting hammered by lack of liquidity from the federal government, right? If you go back the last 3-4 years, one of the reasons why we've had so much inflation is because you sent out a whole bunch of stimulus checks. You told people they didn't have to pay their mortgage for like sometimes like 4 years. There's so many people that were relying on all these governments. You didn't have to pay your student loans. Oh, you don't have electricity? Don't worry about it. Here's this. Food stamps. Here you go. Everyone get on food stamps. The number of people that got on food stamps during COVID exploded. Now, what are you doing? You're putting in work requirements for healthcare. People are more than likely going to have to pay additional amount to get their Obamacare coverage, you know, and same thing with a lot of businesses. They're going to be paying more for insurance. So what does this mean? That means that there's less money in people's pockets to go out there and spend. So even if a business says, yeah, I'm going to raise my prices 20, 30%, if the consumer doesn't have the money to spend it, you're just going to destroy demand, you know? So I think right now the consumer is being sort of constrained right now in terms of what they can spend going forward. And I think that impact is going to severely limit inflation's upward move above a 3.5 level. And then at the same time, you've got shelter, which is coming down. Now, there is one X factor that I think the Trump administration is going to have to work on, which is natural gas prices. Natural gas prices have absolutely exploded because of data center demand, as well as a cold winter from us. And then all the LNG exporters, they're putting a shit ton of demand on the levels. So the Trump administration is going to have to work with the energy companies to expand the amount of natural gas that's being produced. And if we get that, then you should see natural gas prices come down and electricity prices kind of moderate. Well, the growth in electricity prices moderating, in which case that's another big leg for inflation to stay where it is and actually come down a little bit. I also think there's one more factor that I've been like really, really pushing for the last 2 years. It may sound counterintuitive, but by lowering interest rates, you're actually going to lower housing prices. I know it sounds counterintuitive, right? Usually if you lower interest rates, the price of assets like homes should go up. Well, the thing is, if you lower interest rates right now, what you're also going to see is the thawing of the housing market. There's actually going to be more inventory that actually comes on the market for the first time in the last like 3-4 years, where inventory levels are finally starting to get back to their normal levels like there were pre-COVID. So if you think about the amount of inventory that's coming online in a lot of parts of the country, that should also help kind of like moderate the growth in shelter prices, because it's a commodity that's you can't build a lot. So it's not like super expandable. And then of course you've got deflationary headwinds coming from all these deportations. And next year they're going to be supercharged even more. So when you think about all the aggregate demand that's going to be destroyed from all these deportations and the lack of net migration, you're going to be looking at a much slower growth in consumer spending. Especially if you took it away a lot of these liquidity supports. So
sorry to interrupt, but did Hawk Tan say something in that call that's making it pop? Oh, you're on mute.
He's probably saying something that's getting the street excited, but it's not holding. It's like you see how it's going up and down between that 418 and 420 range.
It's everywhere, but he said something. He definitely said something. He's reacting.
Yeah, I'll try to get some quotes in a second. Steve, your take on the Fed. And do you agree with Chris that the Fed will continue to cut rates because we need more liquidity?
Well, before I give you the take on the Fed, I agree with Chris on housing prices. And I think something that a lot of people need to realize is the majority of housing prices right now are not sustainable. They're just not. If you take Long Island, for instance, you do a Google search. Sam's looking at me like I'm crazy. Just wait for it.
I grew up in Long Island. All right.
Wait for it.
Those housing prices are not going down because no one wants to leave Long Island.
They're already. I'm checking specific areas because I'm looking for something. They're going down right now. Now the average household income on Long Island is $137,000. It's higher than the national average, but starter houses during this point have reached $700,000, $800,000. Starter houses. You're not able to sustain that with a family. It's just simple mathematics. You're not going to have the runway for it. And if you look at a lot of the towns on Long Island, there's not a lot of inventory on the market in these towns. And a lot of people don't want to leave or get into a new mortgage when they have anywhere from 2.8 to 3.2%. So as rates come down and more supply hits the market, it's going to crush the demand. And I do think we're going to see prices come down on houses. Because once again, trying to get into a $700,000, $800,000 house when household average income is $137,000, extremely difficult when you think about taxes that have to be paid on that money and other expenses. Now, as far as the Fed, I want to know what happened to Jay Powell. I want to know who stole him. I want to know where the body double came from. The guy was smiling, and the numbers they set out of there. So 1.7% real GDP growth. 2026, they're expecting 2.3%, 2% in 27, 1.9% in 28. That basically means they're not seeing a recession at any point. I mean, that's pretty big coming out of the Fed, a Fed that's been overly hawkish. And now they're seeing unemployment starting to come down, where they're saying they think it's going to go to 4.5% and then ease to 4.4 again in 26 and 4.2% in 2027. And now inflation's not even a problem anymore, according to them, because they're seeing the median projection at 2.9% for this year for headline, and then going down to 2.4 in 26 and 2.1 in 27. And that goes for core also, which is their preferred indicator. So I got to tell you, I agree with what Sam said about 20 minutes ago. I agree with what Chris said. This is a great setup for the market. And if we get unemployment coming down, in addition to the GDP growth and lower inflation, you watch this market rip next year. And I'll say it right now, Tom Lee's 7,700 number is low if this is the setup.
What's your target? 85, 89? I mean, I'm scared to ask.
I'm going to say it, but I'm going to say it with an air quote that this could be revised on the 31st when I make my actual prediction. But I'm going to say if we don't get a recession and this is the actual setup, we're hitting 8,000 next year.
Speaking of not ripping, Hawk Tan definitely said something on the call that was not good because they just reversed almost all of their gains.
Really?
What did he say?
I don't know. I'm trying to look at the live transcript here.
Well, hold on. The first thing that he said that got them the gains was this right here, that they got an additional $10 billion order for Ironwood TPU racks. He said, but that does not mean our other two customers are using TPUs. In fact, they prefer to control their own destiny but continue to drive their own journey in AI accelerators. I guess he said something else.
Oh, Google's dropping.
Oh, dude, we cannot have back-to-back days of Oracle and Broadcom. we don't need that right now. We don't need that.
Take a look at this thing. So right here, home prices go negative for the first time in over 2 years. May stay that way for a while. I think this is from the NAR. A lot of people are pulling their homes off the market, and they're probably going to list them again in the springtime. Right here. Yeah. So I was looking at the cities that are going to be impacted the most by home prices coming down. You're starting to actually see prices in California coming down. Texas, they're coming down. Florida, they're coming down for sure. Georgia, we flatlined and starting to come down a little bit. But once again, all of this data is lagging, right? Eventually, that data is going to come into the CPI number. So we have to think ahead of time. Be like, look, if shelter is almost 36% of the component, and at the same time, if you look at the current PCE, and it's like, well, shelter is growing by 3.6%. In what world do you think shelter is growing at 3.6%? Y'all looking at data in backwards land. Like, why can't you do a forward calculation right now and see that? So I think that's where the disconnect is at the Fed. If they were to actually look at forward, I think that they would actually do it. Maybe Stephen Moran was right. Maybe they should have done a 50. You know,
I mean, I would have loved for them to do a 50. Sam, what are you still familiar with Long Island?
No, I am. I mean, I grew up in Suffolk County, so the prices just keep going up.
So you know where Hicksville is, right?
Yeah, no, is that Nassau or Suffolk?
Yeah, it's Nassau. It's more central Long Island. It's a very heavily populated area. Now,
Hicksville was never like the place to be in Long Island. Like,
but that's why I'm using it as an example.
Okay.
Don't they make iced tea in Long Island?
Long Island iced tea is in there. Yes,
I knew it.
So you bring up my screen real quick.
Fuck, 10. What did you do? You used too many Burger King coupons.
NVIDIA selling off something he said, getting us down.
So Sam, Amit, bring up my screen for 1 second. Like, what I'm about to show is just not sustainable. 800 grand for a 1,300 square foot house in Hicksville.
Well, okay, so
That's
home
not
prices
sustainable.
are very reliant on school districts, and Long Island has
Hicksville
some
school
of the.
district's not good.
Well, I know that's why I think you're picking like an outlier here, right? So
I'm
a
not.
lot.
I could go to Levittown or others. I'm just saying.
Well, you're going to Levittown. You're going to Southern Long Island, of course. Like, I'm not. Okay,
I'm
you know
trying
Long
to
Island like
stay
I do, right?
heavily populated Long
Okay,
Island areas.
so go
Bethpage?
ahead and pick Plainview. Okay,
Plainview,
pick Dix Hills. Pick maybe not Comac, but yeah, pick Old Bethpage. Pick those areas. Those homes are very. I was actually just looking over there because we were like, okay, let's think about moving there, but it's not going to happen. But those school districts are like 10 out of 10 over there. Those homes have premium value almost all the time. Someone's saying,
I'm just saying that this is not sustainable.
Bro, how is that shit worth $745,000?
And the school, and look, Long Island school districts are good. This is not sustainable because what you need to
look at the property taxes on that thing. Look at the property taxes on that thing.
Welcome to New York, baby.
It's like $15,000 for property taxes on top of that.
Yeah, it's 12 grand. I mean, yeah, but the reality is that at 137,000 average household income, these prices are not affordable. And Bethpage, Hicksville, and Levittown are not even the upper areas. I'm just saying that Long Island prices are not sustainable. You're going to see a crack in housing there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to crack where it actually matters, but I don't know about Long Island. All right, I live in LA still, right? There's no more real estate left. They only have to build up, not horizontal, right? So in my opinion, I don't think these metropolitan areas are going to necessarily go down. Like, I don't think it's very difficult to think that New York City real estate is going to go down just as much because like they clearly cannot build anywhere else. But if you think of these residential communities where people are looking over there, they're like, oh, the school districts are good, but maybe there's more funding here in these other school districts that are like in up north in Long Island. Okay, so if you go to like maybe up Westchester or Yorktownville. I forget the exact name of that area. Those schools are pretty good. Even like Long Island, Amit, shout out to Amit. New Jersey, shout out to Amit, New Jersey, right? Like there's people moving out there and the school districts are going to keep getting better as long as the funding continues to come in. Like that would make sense for that to happen. But I do agree in that sense what you're talking about, Steve and Chris, is that when these rates do come down, you're going to get a flood of inventory coming back to the market. People are going to be like, oh, I want to move over here now. I don't want to live here anymore. Now I can sell my house because there's buyers in the market now. Because there's no buyers in the market right now. There are no buyers at all. In fact, a lot of the houses, because I live in the Valley in LA, and it's very high demand over here, but there's very little inventory over here. And the people who are trying to sell their houses right now are selling it for ridiculous amounts because they think they can. Right, but when these rates come down, your $6,000 a month mortgage payment becomes $5,000 and becomes a bit more affordable. Not extremely affordable, a little bit more affordable.
Broadcom, by the way, guys, is giving us your 2% hit right now.
God damn it!
What did Hawk Tan say? What did Hawk
probably
say?
clipping too many Burger King coupons lately.
I'm looking at the transcript. I can't find anything specific. If anyone in the chat has a quote, let me know. But something, because that's a 6%, 5.3% reversal. And if it goes further, this is going to be almost a 7% reversal that we're seeing, which is not crazy. I mean, it's down 2%, whatever, but it was up 5%, which is why the street's upset. So for everyone asking what's going on, it's because Broadcom. That's why everything else is going down.
You can't take earnings too seriously, man. Earnings is more about a sentiment shift up or down rather than actually fundamentals. Like, you know, if you present something in the wrong way, you could go down. I mean, dude, you know how many times Elon, you'll have the shittiest earnings be like they lost over $1 billion. They missed earnings by this. And he just comes out and says, robots. That's right. We're going to Mars with robots. And boom, the stock fucking goes to the moon.
Oh, man.
You know?
Freaking Hawk Tan's going to shit all over us tomorrow.
Wait, but hold on. We got to figure out why. $3.99. What? The street was excited for the past 30 minutes, and now they're not. So
I'm trying to look at the transcript here. I can't find it. Wall Street Engine usually posts a lot of stuff on time there.
And I don't think it's nothing in the Q&A. It has to be something else because it's already reacted.
Maybe this is actually bullish for NVIDIA. Maybe this is bullish for NVIDIA. Who knows? Maybe he said, you know what? Maybe our TPUs are just not as good as NVIDIA's GPUs. What if he said that?
That's fair. I mean,
all right, Chris, get out of here. If the market is going down, I don't care if NVIDIA goes up. If the whole market is going down, NVIDIA is going to go. In fact, NVIDIA is actually down 60 basis points right now. So if we go down, you go down.
The best thing about Chris being bullish on a name is that this guy, when he gets bullish, he will defend his name till the end of time. And he'll start to convince you, and he will start to poo-poo against the competitors. And so now we have him on the bullish side, not just.
But it worked. But look, I was super bullish on Google. Y'all missed Google, except me and Steve right now.
Well, thank you.
No, that's my point. But when you get so bullish on something, you defend it heavily. So now you're not just bullish on NVIDIA. You are bullish on AI because NVIDIA is AI. And the fun part is Chris is, as long as he's in these NVIDIA leaps, going to be defending AI with his heart and soul, which I
have to. No. Wait, AVGO is back up.
Dude, what is this? $3.99 to $4.05?
I told you can't take these earnings seriously, dude. 2 syllables here, 2 syllables there, and this thing goes in one direction, goes in the other. Oh, Jesus. This is like we're at the what is it called? The horse track, right? And you can see like your horse winning, and then it's pulling back, and then it's going up again. Ugh.
Yeah, that's almost exactly what it is.
Yeah, by the way, the 1% is not dumping. Let's just get that out of the way.
Agreed.
I mean, if this was serious, you'd have like 5-10% dip. I mean, look at what happened to Oracle. Oracle
Oracle deserved to go down so much more than it did.
Yeah, the valuation on Oracle after their RPO
what
announcement
a bad
is
story
insane.
This is horrible.
The Oracle valuation made no sense just because they had all this RPO and they were financing. Dude, I don't know what's going on with Ellison. Both Ellison
losing their minds.
Well,
do they know something we don't?
Larry lost $50 billion today. I don't know if he can backstop the Warner Brothers acquisition as easily anymore. He was $50 billion in a day. Like,
I mean, the fact that they have a net liquidity position of negative $80 billion and they can't produce $1 in free cash flow, I don't give a shit about their earnings. Got news for everybody. Like, this is going to be, mark my words, Oracle will be dead money for a while. I don't know how long, but it's going to be dead money for a while. Now, it is a cockroach of a company. It's always going to be there, and it's going to perform very well in the future. It's going to take a while to get to that area where all these contracts come through. And I mean, Amit and I will go over it later tonight, but this is going to trade range bound for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes 125, 150.
Dude, Larry Ellison's net worth is 250 billion. I'm sure he's fine.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if Netflix is like, look at how volatile Oracle stock is. What if it goes down another $30? I think that's a convincing argument to Warner Brothers to be like, yeah, you know, you're telling us Larry's going to backstop the whole acquisition, but if his stock goes down, yeah, he'll probably still be good.
Well, here's the thing. You're running into two different things. On one hand, the Netflix, you might not get past antitrust.
Oh, it's not getting, there's no way they're going to let Netflix and freaking Warner merge.
Right. So now you're turning down a higher bid and antitrust risk.
Real quick before we continue, so Broadcom said in Q1 we forecast non-AI semiconductor revenue to be 4.1 billion, which is flat, not growing, down sequentially due to wireless seasonality. Why does this matter? This is non-AI. It's not even.
I mean, it's still a core part of their business. That's why. I mean, but this again shows. By the way, this is actually something relevant. A lot of the 5G installs.
By the way, now it's dumping,
ramping off.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris, but now we're legit getting some pain, down 3.5%. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The 5G investing cycle, like the CapEx cycle, is finally starting to catch up now. So now the amount of CapEx, you're going from investing CapEx in 5G to maintenance CapEx in 5G. So that could be a business line that's hurting them a little bit. So
you think even though it's not AI oriented, because it's a core part of the business, the street still isn't happy to see that one be flat?
Yeah, I mean, pull up their investor deck. I mean, wouldn't that be the place to look?
I mean, how about it's also dumping because Broadcom's overvalued? Just saying.
That's true too. I just showed it. The EV.
I mean, you look at them versus Meta. Give me a break. You're telling me you'd rather buy Broadcom than Meta here? Stop it.
Look at the EV to EBITDA compared to NVIDIA, and look at the growth rate here. Just pull this up real quick. This includes November. Dude, I love fiscal AI. They get these numbers out fast somehow. But their revenue growth went from 44% to now 24% top line, right? And then at the same time, so why would you be giving it a higher EV to EBITDA than NVIDIA?
And keep in mind, Broadcom was a $2 billion company going into this print. $2 billion, I'm sorry, $2 trillion. $2 trillion company going into this print. And going into the print, their free cash flow was $25 billion. Like, that's not, I mean, come on. Yeah. It's insane when Meta was a $1.5, $1.6 trillion company and their profitability is off the charts compared to them.
Well, it's not a big deal. It's trading exactly where it was this morning. So it is what it is.
I mean, no, well, if someone, for those who have weekly options, it is a big deal. They're going to get crushed tomorrow.
It's a big deal for me.
You have weekly options on this?
No, you have a month.
I told you. Well, next month, yeah, but I don't know. It is what it is. I told you it's small size, so it is what it is. But oh well, that's what happens when you gamble earnings.
It could recover in a month. You still
next month you should be fine. But I mean, weeklies.
Jeez.
This is going to be
and I don't even have calls. I've spread, so I don't know. This is the total degen position, so degenerates should get degenerate smacked. It is what it is, but I don't want Chris Patel to win or the Milkman to win this argument. I want it to be very green tomorrow, so that way I don't want to hear this garbage that Broadcom is overvalued. I don't care what the valuation is. I want it to be up tomorrow.
Sam, you think you think Broadcom is undervalued?
No.
Okay, so then what do you? So what's your?
If it's undervalued, that doesn't mean it's overvalued, right? This isn't a binary question.
You think the fair intrinsic value?
I think it's just above fair value, but I think the market moves off momentum in the very short term. And well, I mean, the thing was up like 2% after hours.
I don't know if the market is going to give a momentum argument to a stock that's up 80% this year.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore. We were singing a different tune like 5 minutes ago. Not so much anymore, but Hawktan had to go Burger King coupons on us. And now I'm going to be eating Burger King tonight, not sushi.
Yeah, like I agree with your momentum argument, but when the stock, like Hood, right? A lot of people are, well, momentum, but Hood's up 200% this year. So we can't expect it to keep going just off momentum. It has to do something that the market didn't expect, like that prediction markets acquisition that it moved up 10% the next day. The market didn't expect that. For Broadcom, these are good earnings, but I mean, it's not like, oh my goodness.
Forward, the guidance was bad. So forward looking, it doesn't care anymore at that point. No, momentum is a real thing. I mean, look at the Amcor chart, the ENS chart on semiconductor.
No, but
chart.
Amcor doesn't have a multiple. Amcor, that's the difference.
It's still cheap. Yeah, that's still cheap. I mean, that's where the crux of the portfolio is in position. Well, I guess not so much cheap anymore, but like companies that are still have the asymmetric upside. But you know, degenerates got to scratch that degenerate itch. I think we all have it, but some of us are tame with it. I'm clearly not tame with it. But we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Chris,
put the price in the back. Yeah, I'm gonna go to McDonald's and apply for a job right now.
Sam's probably down like $1,000 on this trade. And he's like,
it's not a lot. It's not.
Sam does small calculated bets that are asymmetric. Yeah. Okay, like he doesn't do
asymmetric. Yeah.
Me is where you got to look for degen stuff. Like I risk a lot more. So that's why I have to do a lot more research. And I think that's the one thing I've been learning from that Stock Talks guy. If you have real conviction, then you don't mind going heavy in a position. Like, and I think that's the thing, right? So depending on how bullish you are is how you should allocate towards the position. So
Broadcom says we have 73 billion of backlog for AI data centers over the next 18 months. And obviously
that's not what it was. That's not what it was.
Yeah, I think it's the non-AI revenue is what got.
Yeah, the flat revenue growth for semiconductor, which is I think it's like above like 60-70% of its revenue. Deceleration is never a good thing.
This thing was $150 in April. Now it's $400.
That is the only reason I didn't take an earnings trade today, because I just looked at the chart and I was like, it's up a lot. I mean, like at some point, maybe it pumps, but the risk is higher than the reward.
I mean, think about this. If Palantir and NVIDIA couldn't get to all-time highs after earnings, it'd be really hard for Broadcom to keep going up. I mean, NVIDIA is slaughtered and basically put out a ridiculous number for Q4. Palantir is probably the second best quarter I've ever seen out of a company, and neither of those companies kept going higher.
Yeah, but this is not what you want to see after hours for the AI theme. Decelerating semiconductor revenue.
That's not true at all. This doesn't matter.
That's not true.
This does not matter for AI one bit.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the short term.
NVIDIA guys, I love it.
I'm talking about the short term. I'm talking about like
Sam,
2 to 3 weeks out.
What has changed for Amazon, Microsoft, and Alphabet and Meta?
No, but we're talking about completely different time frames right now. Like you're talking about long term.
You said that this is bad for the AI theme. This does not matter for the AI theme.
Okay, I apologize if I said AI theme. I meant like for the AI trade.
Trade, I agree with you.
Right, so that's what I meant, because like clearly we had yesterday Oracle dumping the bed with their whatever they said in the earnings call, or whatever they didn't say in an earnings call from what I've heard, and then now we have. Well, I got to look into the transcript tonight and see what exactly he said that brought it down. What appears like it was probably bad guidance for next year for semiconductor revenue, which affects pretty much the TPUs and all that stuff, right? That's going to affect the near term, right? So you had Oracle basically dump the bed, and that dumped it overnight, and we come back here closing all-time highs. Like the short term, this matters. The sentiment positioning matters in the short term.
Absolutely.
But the long-term perspective, hey, it's all cake, right? But for me, for these crazy degenerate plays, that short term matters for me. And the short term matters when, you're putting a couple $1,000s on the line and maybe it doesn't work in your favor. It is what it is. But like that's been working for a while, and you take some hits, take some losses, whatever it is. But for the long term perspective, with this entire AI theme, the onshoring, the fact that we have multiple models coming out, GPT 5.2 came out, which is the smartest model in the world, which I don't know if that's really the case. We have Gemini really coming back as far as being the best model in 2025. We have building data centers in outer space. I don't know if they're actually going to do that, but if they do, well, you need more chips, right? You need more data center stuff, right? So That's still there. I'm just talking about like specific short-term trades, which I know a lot of people in the chat probably do, right? You do short-term trades. These things matter. These things matter, and the positioning and the sentiment for it.
Dude,
Yeah, so
Elon's
from a-
definitely going to pump the data centers and space theme, because if he's going to get IPO, what is that thing called? If he's going to IPO SpaceX, he's going to need a theme for the market to rally around. And so by propagating this, it could be a big, big thing for future revenue expectations.
That was going to be my last topic for the day. So we'll end it off on this. Just raw thoughts from all three of you. Chris, we'll start with you. Do you think this data center and space thing is real? Rocket Lab up 10%. I think literally just off the headline that this is happening.
I think it's real, but the timeline is a little bit more stretched out than thing. I think there's a lot of technical challenges that have to be solved before this thing becomes a major part of the AI data center build out. And I think there's an immediate need right now. We don't have the time, or a lot of companies don't have the time to say, yeah, let's wait until the data centers can be built in space, right? You've got a whole bunch of issues around cooling. You need to make sure that reliability is on another level, because I'm guessing that these things are going to be unmanned, right? Like, who's going to stay up there to maintain? I imagine that's a job description, Sam, working at a data center in space. I wonder what the pay for that is going to be like. You know, it's like, Sanjeev, go plug in this rack real quick. Okay,
Dude,
son, no
honestly,
problem.
I
Okay,
always
son.
think of Chappelle's show every single time I hear putting data centers or going to outer space and stuff. It's so funny. Like, I think I've watched a Chappelle show clip like 3 or 4 times in the last couple of days. Like, it's okay. I'm sorry. Building data centers in outer space, yeah, probably at some point in the future, but like, it's not happening anytime soon. Like, there's so much real estate everywhere in this world, including the United States of America, where power is cheap. To build data centers in outer space, like, it's just, come on, like, that's not gonna happen for a while. But at the same time, I do think that probably the 1 or 2 year out for Rocket Lab is pretty important, because you already see SpaceX potentially being a $1.5 trillion company. What did they have? $150 billion in revenue. I forget the exact amount of revenue they have, but like a $30 to $40 billion company, which is just as much as launching multiple rockets to outer space. This is pretty important, right? So that's going to have the bidding that SpaceX is getting bid on, but SpaceX is private.
MARS, Mars, bitches.
Okay.
By the way, they do 15 billion in revenue.
I don't know.
Well, look,
just
there's
don't
a
play
big
the clip.
difference between the two. SpaceX has Starlink, whereas Rocket Lab does not. Now, we haven't been to the moon in God knows how long. The idea that we're going to build data centers in space, that's not happening anytime soon. Eventually, they're going to do it because it's 24/7 solar. And that's the real reason why they want to do it. But there's no way. I will put serious money, like serious money, within 5 years. This isn't even a thing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You don't need that to be the thing to get real value out of it, especially if you're good at trading. I mean, look at this quantum thing. Bro, no.
Oh, God, another stupid sector.
Quantum is not going to be anything, at least for another 5 to 10 years, yet people are like, yeah, I'll pay $20 billion for a company.
How about these companies aren't even going to fucking be here? Freaking, if Alphabet and IBM aren't figuring it out, these companies can't compete with them. I'm sorry, they just can't. It's not happening.
Yeah, but the stock price is...
One of those two is going to win the quantum space, not these little bullshit companies.
Whoa, what the hell is going on, Broadcom? Shoot.
What is Octan saying, bro?
Oh no, I'm about to clip those Burger King coupons right now. we're eating. We are not eating sushi tonight. That's
guys. These guys were trading at 38, almost 39.
But you weren't saying this when the stock was up. Well, you were saying the stock was up, but like when the stock was up, it was much different.
I've been saying that
right?
Broadcom's overvalued for a while.
No, Sam,
like,
the stock was up 3%. I don't think anyone was like, "Oh my goodness!" It's like, okay,
I know, but like now that this price is going down, oh look, I told you guys, right? Like,
but didn't I just say that NVIDIA is trading at 22 times forward EBITDA? Broadcom is trading at 39.
EBITDA.
I even showed you the chart. Like, it doesn't make sense.
It makes sense that, you know, NVIDIA should not be trading at a cheaper valuation than Broadcom, but this is the argument with
not by
momentum,
double,
right?
Not by double. Like, you can
Hey,
say
I
it.
mean, like, do we need to name Palantir? Like, everyone's been arguing about that valuation for a long time, and look where it is today. It's still pretty up there, right? Like, it's just
Sam, Sam. It's
And
no
then
one's saying
bring this up.
no one's hold on. No one's saying the valuation on Palantir isn't intense. But the point is, expecting Palantir to be $250 tomorrow is a really intense expectation. For those expecting Broadcom to go to 450 next week, next month. I mean, I don't expect Palantir to be 250 next month. I think that's being realistic, and I think that's what we're seeing here.
I mean,
Hey,
look at
we'll see.
just
It could have been
Broadcom
the
and
other way.
Meta. And look, I didn't update Broadcom. I'll do it tonight because I don't have all the numbers. But Broadcom was a bigger company than Meta heading into the print tonight. And they do a speckle of the revenue, a third of the EBITDA, a quarter of the cash from operations. The valuation never made sense for Broadcom. Full stop.
Yeah.
Look, I didn't even dive deep into Broadcom's valuation. All I saw was the freaking chart on a $2 trillion company is up 80%. The risk to reward is probably skewed to risk versus reward. If they say anything bad, guess what? He said something bad. And I think that's what
And let's just keep in mind that after hours really doesn't matter. It's low liquidity,
Mhm.
low volume. This could
Well,
snap
yeah.
back tomorrow morning. This is
We
just
saw-
after hours bullshit also.
We saw what happened yesterday overnight after hours.
I mean, think
Just
about
completely
this.
reversed,
Oracle found a floor today. I really did not think it was finding a floor. It found a floor around 190 and finished around 198. This could get bought up in the morning very easily.
That's fair.
I don't think so, guys. I think EBITDA on this thing should get back down to at least to the mid 20s, high 20s before this thing even remotely seems appetizing.
Well,
You know,
I'm not going to say where I think Broadcom could trade. I'm just saying there is a reality where it gets bought up tomorrow.
I would
Where
never
it
buy
should
Broadcom for
trade,
long term.
different story.
I would never buy it for long term, ever. I would look to buy like Adobe or something long term, but like Broadcom is not a long term trade at all. Not here, not here. But had a pretty good setup coming in today. Didn't work out.
look at Oracle, same thing. Don't go crazy buying companies when they've had these short-term catalysts and then they've spiked super high. So where's it? Oracle right here? Oracle normally trades right here at a forward EV to EBITDA about 18 to 20 times. Okay, because of that RPO news, they went all the way to 27 on a forward basis. Now they're back down to 17, 18 again. I mean,
Wait, so Chris, where do you think Broadcom should be? What price instead of 400? Like 350?
I mean, you just have to do the calculation depending on what kind of share buybacks they're doing, because one of the things about Broadcom is that they're prolific buyers of their own shares, right? So Broadcom, like let's say they go back down to not half, let's say about 30% of whatever the stock price is closing. I think that would be a good thing for Broadcom to be in. I mean, because you're still getting the inflection on the AI, so you're
okay, but if it takes a 30% hit, do you think NVIDIA doesn't fall with it? Or do you think
I think NVIDIA's already NVIDIA's cheap right now. That's
well, I think it's completely stupid how like one of these stocks sells off and like the other, but that's just the nature of the market. They all have similar trades,
in the short,
right? Like
yeah,
in
in
the short term, they do.
Yeah.
But like I think, you know, Broadcom's down 4% after hours. NVIDIA's only down 50 basis points, which is pretty justified, right? But like, I just thought that Oracle being down like 13, 40%, and NVIDIA was down like 4 or 5%. I thought that was pretty ridiculous, especially Nebius going down like $85. Like the market just does these moves in the short term. And that's the point of these trades, to take advantage of that short-term move. But the long-term thesis, like nothing's changed. Like what, just because Broadcom guides lower for next year, that doesn't mean that like all these other companies are going to guide lower. We've seen it happen many times. Like AMD went to $100 and the market was at all-time highs, right? And then look at AMD now; it just recently hit its all-time highs. Like these short-term dynamic moves don't really matter for the long term, right? So that is the real bet in the market is the medium, at least to the long term. That's the real bet in the market. But sometimes you have these opportunities in short-term trades, and Broadcom's going to do whatever it does. I just hope it doesn't take the market down with it. That would really suck.
Look at AMD's forward multiple right now. AMD is in the green. Okay. Look at where they are. They're at 37. When does AMD report?
They already did.
they already did?
They already did. So AMD was able to maintain it. to some degree. I mean, it went up all the way here. So how's AMD done in the last 30 days?
AMD is down for the month 7%.
No, the value play has been the play for the last 2 weeks, if not for the last couple of months. And that's the reason why you've seen these cheap companies actually catch a bid, because the rotation is happening in front of our eyes. Like IWM was up 1% today, and the Qs were technically down today, right? And if you looked at just recent companies, especially the value stocks versus the tech stocks, and it doesn't just have to be like value stocks as in like Verizon and all that stuff. You look at the other side of the stocks that are actually at pretty attractive valuations. Those are actually up in the last couple of months or less than a month versus these high flying tech stocks, right? IREN is at $43. But then you turn around, you look at like Amcor, it's basically doubled in the last couple of months. And I'm not trying to say one company is better than the other. I'm just saying like high beta, no revenue, or supposedly pre-revenue before the $2 billion, $5 billion ARR is not doing as hot as a company that is already expanding gross margins, already profitable, is cheap on a valuation perspective from a price to sales standpoint. That is where the real alpha is right now. And then degeneracy is degeneracy.
Yeah, basically, Sam, you're making the case to not be in Broadcom calls, but nonetheless, degeneracy is degeneracy. And we've all been through it. We've all done it. So
you get so excited, you get so many things right, and then you buy BMR. That's
all of us with BMR.
Hey man, who knows? BMR, where is that at after hours?
Dude, it's covered so much. Thank God. Like I was down way more, man.
It's still green after hours.
So my covered calls are helping. My covered calls are helping. Thank God. Thank you, Tom Lee. Keep pumping my bags, please.
I just think it's amazing. Like it went from $23, $24 to $42 the other day. Like that's a crazy move.
My wife works from home now. I can't even get away anymore. Tom Lee saved me.
Did your wife know how much you lost on BMR?
Yeah, how much I didn't lose it. I have an unrealized.
Not a loss until you sell, baby.
That's right. That's right. So
I did
well. Sorry, go ahead.
There's always a good intellectual way to describe a paper loss. I didn't lose the money. It's just at the moment
the account just says a different number. That's it.
I'm up massively on Meta, so I'll be like, it's okay, So net, I'm up. That's what matters. That is the only thing that matters. And Carnival was up today. All the cruise lines are up. So Cruise Patel Chris is back, baby.
Dude, there's definitely people in the chat that have not told their significant other how down they've been on a trade, and it just ended up like working out over time, and they didn't have to disclose it, but it can be ugly sometimes to tell people how bad.
You know what's funny? When BMR was down, my wife couldn't see. Like, she's like, "Why are you looking at your thing all the time?" I was like, BMR is down. She's like, "It's okay, it doesn't matter." So she's cool like that, where she's, she understands. Like, first of all, if I didn't take these risks in the first place, we wouldn't be where we are in life. You know, all of us. You could have just been like on the sidelines. Yeah, let me just buy the SPY. I wouldn't be where I am today if I just bought the SPY. So she understands that. So you know what? You were with me for the gains. You're gonna be with me for some of these losses, right?
I don't know. We don't know if she's still with you after the losses, but we'll see. Hopefully, you're making the assumption right now. I'm just kidding.
She's loyal. She's loyal.
She's loyal. She's loyal. No pun intended for Chris Brown.
That is it for us. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Unfortunately, not the best price action on Broadcom, but we're going to see tomorrow. Again, this thing could get eaten up quick. We'll see how the street reacts to it. Down about 7% after hours. Lulu ended up crushing. Costco basically flat. Tomorrow's Friday. Another week of December that has gone by. S&P's at all-time highs, which I know is kind of crazy given some of the other high beta stocks that are down. But it does seem like a more healthy rotation happening in the market, which is not too bad. Chris's Twitter, Sam's Twitter, and Steve's Twitter and YouTube I'm putting in the chat and in the description. Any final words, Chris, Sam, or Steve?
Go watch that P. Diddy Netflix documentary. Oh, dude, I have one quote now. I would never want to be friends with a guy like Puff Daddy. I would also not want to be enemies with a guy like 50 Cent. If you see this documentary, oh my God.
I started watching a little bit of it last night, but then I fell asleep. but
It's bad. It was bad, dude. It was bad.
Chris is making me want to get a Netflix subscription now.
You don't have a Netflix subscription?
No,
What's wrong
I
with you,
can't.
Steve?
Netflix sucks.
No, I get it, but still, you subscribe to everything. So I thought,
Yeah, but Netflix is the one that I won't continue to pay for if I'm not using it. I'll pay for everything else except for Netflix. It's just something I don't know.
now I know why you've been against this whole Netflix thing. You just don't like them.
Oh, listen, I'm a shareholder of Warner Brothers, so not that they need my permission. I'm not a big shareholder, but the deal at $30 a share, all cash. Give me that deal all day.
Yeah. All right. That's it for us, folks. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Sam, Chris, Steve, thank you for joining. I'll be live with Steve later tonight. His YouTube right there is in the chat. Sam also started a new. Oh, Sam, why don't you just give us a picture show?
Yeah, so I teamed up with Wolf. We got the stream running 4 times a week. The solid reports. I mean, basically, I've been going live for quite some time. Not killing it like Steve. Steve is just on that streaming game. I don't. This is the new Joseph Carlson in the making right there. But yeah, guys, go ahead and check it out. It's Wolf Financial. I think you guys know what the handle is for that one. But yeah, check it out, guys. Usually going for like a midday stream,
lunch, right? Is that like 2 p.m. every day?
Yeah, going for like the midday stream, sort of just kind of filling that gap there. But hey, man, either way, the show must go on, right? So if you're out, the show must go on. And also team with you guys in these streams. These streams are really cool to hang out with you guys.
That's right. Don't buy Broadcom at 38 times forward multiples.
I don't know. What can I say,
wish we had
man?
done this one day ago. We could have told you. We could have been like,
You're gonna have to get Chris is getting cocky now. You're gonna have to get him back on
Hey,
one of these
Sam.
stocks.
I hope Broadcom is up just to rub in his face tomorrow, because this guy's going to be eating his lunch tomorrow. Right? Broadcom's down 4.5%. Okay, cool. But if Broadcom's up tomorrow, then I'll still be losing because those are options. So it won't even matter.
Broadcom can turn around. This is after hours. After hours does not matter.
But here's one before we go. Having conversations like this is what's going to make us much, much better investors. If you try to invest solo without your friends around you, without testing your thesis and your hypothesis, or even confirming your biases or challenging your biases, I feel, and I don't know about you guys, if you disagree, agree, whatever, I feel like I've become a better investor because I have conversations with guys like you guys. I have found opportunities because of people like you. I have stayed away from certain things because of people like you that could have been really bad, right? So I think over time we have been able to collaborate with a lot of people, and that collaborative effort is paying dividends right now. Like right now, like I said, that guy Stock Talk Weekly, me and Sam were talking about it, how he's got a lot of great companies that he's done.
Yeah, Amit does the earnings edge with them all the time.
Yeah, and he's been able to dig up some really good stuff. And at the same time, even from an investing standpoint, he's got some really good ideas that I would never have thought that, hey, this is a good way to do research. This is a good company to look at. So I think as you broaden your experience with other investors, I think that, and you develop that network, it's a freaking great thing. And it's a powerful alpha generator that you really can't get by just looking at the markets day to day on a chart or on a balance sheet.
I agree. And that's why I think we're happy every day to be here and be part of this community.
Yeah.
All right. That is it for us. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Chris, Sam, and Steve. Yeah, last earnings. I think this is the final earnings for the cycle. So we are officially done with Q3. Q1 will be in February for earnings, and then we'll keep going from there.
February? We're starting middle of January.
The banks.
Oh, yeah, the banks.
Banks are middle of January, and then you roll into Tesla.
Actually, TSM is pretty early, so is ASML. They're pretty early.
Dude,
January.
regional banks.
Right, yeah.
Regional banks are back, baby.
Dude, that is why IWM is up.
TFC's back at $50. $50.
Wow, 50?
Yeah.
KRE is a big part of IWM. So
yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Steve and I will see you guys tonight. Have a good one, guys. Good night.
Later.
Later.